Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse.
She's been nominated for 6 Grammys, but just who is Amy Winehouse? An enormously talented but deeply troubled star.
Amy Winehouse!
Her success is overshadowed by personal demons that have spiraled out of control.
She's completely addicted to many drugs. She can't function without them. She certainly can't go on stage without them.
That's Winehouse in an appearance on the Charlotte Church talk show in England, drunkenly slurring the words to the Michael Jackson song, Beat It. Her descent from rising young music star to emaciated drug-addled wreck has been swift. Take a look at this audition tape from just 5 years ago. Fresh-faced and full of promise, she grew up in London, the daughter of a cab driver. Critics rave about her soulful voice and songwriting ability. Now comes 6 Grammy nominations, a crowning achievement for any artist. But Winehouse, who has just canceled her concert tour, may not make it to Los Angeles for the awards show. Winehouse was arrested for drug possession in Norway in October, and according to Homeland Security rules, she could now be banned from entering the U.S.
It's an incredible moment for her where she can decide to turn everything around, and the only way that she can do that is to stop taking drugs.
Kurt Cobain was the lead singer and songwriter of the rock band Nirvana. Cobain was a rock pioneer many credit with creating grunge rock, the Seattle style of music and fashion that emerged in the 90s. Cobain used a shotgun to end his life, a life that at 27 seemed securely locked in international star status. Nirvana's last album, In Utero, went platinum. Cobain's existence, however, was anything but Nirvana. Cobain was labeled a genius, an artist who spoke to his generation about their feelings of alienation.
I know they're cleaned up. I know she hasn't done any drugs for a long time.
Psychologist Hank Harrison is speaking about his daughter, Courtney Love. He feels the young couple had their share of problems with drugs and alcohol, but they were trying to overcome them. In March, however, Kurt was rushed to a Rome hospital in a coma.
When they got to Rome, they were relaxing, and I think they forgot that tranquilizers and champagne don't mix. And he doesn't eat right, and so he's weak. And I think that's why he went into the coma.
Harrison speculates that while Cobain was dealing with his drug abuse, he was also handling some family pressures.
There's some family games going on that I can't talk about right now between Courtney's mother and his family's been very supportive. That may have been causing some factors involved there.
Courtney Love is herself on the verge of superstardom. Her band, Hole, has an album due to be released shortly. She's also been featured on the cover of several magazines. Ironically, Courtney played a major role in the 80s film Sid and Nancy, the tragic story of punk rock star Sid Vicious and his girlfriend Nancy, who both died of a heroin overdose. Hank Harrison says he wasn't surprised by his son-in-law's suicide.
Because Courtney had trouble with him constantly.
Cobain's family is searching for the causes of Cobain's psychological demons that drove him to take his life.
We look into the case more deeply, we're going to find factors that led up to this, something along the lines of maybe a manic depressive situation or mood swings that were very violent for Kurt, and some kind of chemical imbalance in his personality or in his makeup that caused him to want to do this.
The couple's life together was marked by controversy. In a 1992 Vanity Fair article, Love admitted using heroin while pregnant with the pair's daughter, Frances Bean. Some of the anger in Cobain's songs seem to stem from his childhood in Aberdeen, Washington, a logging town where artists were outcasts. His parents were divorced and he ran away from home in 1984. Barbara and Lamont Schindler, with 6 kids of their own, took him in for a year.
Well, he was here. He was very quiet. He is not an exuberant, outgoing type of a person then. Kind of reclusive.
Cobain's music struck a chord with those who felt their own kind of pain. The message Courtney Love sent to her husband's fans was filled with angry profanities aimed at Kurt for killing himself.
I don't really think it takes away his dignity to read this, considering that it's addressed to
most of you.
Courtney went on to read part of the suicide note.
I haven't felt the excitement of listening to as well as creating music, along with really writing something for too many years now. I feel guilty beyond words about these things. For example, when we're backstage and the lights go out and the manic roar of the crowd begins, it doesn't affect me the way.
Hank Harrison has a fear that some of Kurt's fans and followers may get the wrong message from Cobain's suicide.
And I really would like to appeal to all the young people that if they are getting depressed over Kurt's suicide, that's an individual case. I don't think people should overreact. There's some hotlines you can call. And if you need help, don't be alienated from adults like me. For every parent that's giving you a bad time right now, there's 25 people out there that dig you and are on your side. You should reach out and come out of the shell.
The music world is numb today, stunned by the violent death of gangster rapper Notorious B.I.G. The tragedy happened here outside of the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, where the rapper, also known as Biggie Smalls, was attending a Vibe magazine party for the Soul Train Awards. Now, shortly after midnight Saturday, Notorious B.I.G. left the party and got into his car when another car rolled by and shots rang out. At least 5 bullets ripped through the door, killing B.I.G., who was sitting in the passenger seat. Dozens of heavily armed cops arrived on the scene as word of the shooting spread. The bullet holes in Biggie's vehicle are mute testimony to the gang-style drive-by shooting that took the life of the Brooklyn-born rapper, whose real name is Christopher Wallace. Smalls was rushed in his bullet-riddled vehicle to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Dozens of fans, many overcome with grief, held a vigil at the hospital.
They've got a number of individuals that they're speaking to right now, and we're hopeful that we can resolve this matter relatively soon.
These are pictures of the 24-year-old Biggie at the Vibe party just hours before he was killed. Eerie images of a man who had no idea of the violent fate awaiting him. Biggie Smalls was larger than life. The robust rapper was 6'3", almost 300 pounds. He was loud and boastful, known for talking trash. His music was apparently a reflection of his real-life experiences. Biggie made no secret he once lived a life of crime, even selling crack on the tough streets of Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant section, where he grew up. His debut album, Ready to Die, was an immediate platinum hit, selling more than 1 million copies. The CD thrust Biggie into the stratosphere of rap music. Batari Kitwana is the editor of the hip-hop magazine The Source, where Biggie appears on the current cover.
Definitely, as an artist, he is at the height of the game in terms of his understanding of the art form, in terms of his popularity, not just in New York, but nationally.
Biggie Smalls was also embroiled in a rivalry between East and West Coast rappers. His competition, Tupac Shakur, who once accused Biggie of involvement in a 1994 robbery in which Shakur was shot several times. Biggie denied those charges. More recently, the two men battled verbally over this woman, singer Faith Evans, estranged wife of Biggie Smalls and the mother of his child. Shakur claimed in his music to have had a steamy romance with Evans. She reportedly witnessed Biggie's murder Saturday night, almost a carbon copy of Tupac's death in September. Ironically, Biggie Smalls' upcoming album is titled Life After Death. A startling ad shows Smalls posing in a graveyard near a tombstone reflecting his likeness. So far, no arrests have been made in the killing of Notorious B.I.G., and the murder has shaken the rap world, which has once again lost a star to violence.
Brandon's my family. So is Bruce. I have to know the truth.
The family of Brandon Lee is in mourning, and they are also angry. It's the same mix of emotions they felt 20 years ago when Bruce Lee died mysteriously at age 32. Early reports said that 28-year-old Brandon's fatal shooting on a movie set last week was an accident, but now there is even talk of murder.
If I had a child, and then for some reason I weren't around to take care of my child, I would want whatever I had accomplished with my life to be of a benefit to him.
Brandon Lee didn't have any children, but he was planning on marrying longtime girlfriend Eliza Hutton this month. That was until tragedy struck. It was here at the Carroll Co. Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina, that actor Brandon Lee was filming The Crow. Ironically, the film is about a man who dies and comes back to life to avenge his death.
There have been so many accidents on the set of this movie.
Journalist Julianne Gary was following the strange goings-on at the Crow set for Entertainment Weekly.
A carpenter was severely burned when live wires connected with the piece of equipment he was working on. That was followed by 2 other accidents that same day. The cast and crew started referring to the curse of the Crow.
Nothing ever seemed to go right.
One crew member from the Crow set agreed to talk with us, but only if he remained anonymous.
People have tried to say it was haunted. I don't know about that, but there definitely was some bad vibes on this set.
Earlier last week, there was a sense of relief on the set of The Crow. The cast and crew had weathered all of the bizarre accidents, and there was only a week or 2 left of filming. According to the executive producer, all of the dangerous stunts were in the can. Little did they know that the curse of the Crow was about to strike with more fury than ever. Shortly after midnight last Tuesday, Brandon Lee was preparing to film a routine action scene. The script called for him to get shot at as he walked through a door carrying a bag of groceries. Michael Massey, the actor doing the shooting, is reportedly devastated by Lee's death and remains in seclusion. The gun he was using was supposed to be loaded with blanks. When the cameras rolled, Brandon Lee was performing for the last time.
And he was in, critical condition. Somehow at that point, I don't know, I've got chills right down my spine, and I felt that he's not going to make it.
Mr. Lee's heart stopped, and efforts to resuscitate him were unsuccessful.
Wednesday afternoon, Brandon Lee was pronounced dead. The autopsy revealed some shocking information.
A .44 caliber bullet was removed from Lee's body. Detectives are proceeding with the investigation.
You don't see a .44 caliber slug on a movie set, and it's just that simple.
Ed Parker Jr. is a martial arts expert, an actor who appears in a new film biography about Bruce Lee. His father trained Bruce Lee back in the 60s. He says some in the martial arts world believe that Brandon Lee was murdered.
First talking about it being a projectile, then it being a .44 caliber slug. It goes from an accident to murder.
Brandon Lee's publicist has been quoted as saying it's no longer believed to be a special effect gone wrong. He's asking for a murder probe.
Look, just let me ask you whether it's going to be criminally negligent homicide. Get out of here.
The DA on the case wouldn't talk with us, but Sergeant J.J. Leitner, the detective heading the investigation, did.
Has murder been ruled out?
Nothing's been ruled out. I have a gut feeling, but I can't tell anybody what it is.
So who would want to snuff out the life of this up-and-coming action star? That was the same question that was being asked back in 1973 when Bruce Lee died mysteriously from what the coroner listed as swelling of the brain.
The whole family believed that he's murdered, okay? Now,
the most popular rumor about Bruce Lee's death was that he had been rubbed out by the violent Asian gang, the Triads, who people believed were linked to rivals in the movie industry.
It was, in my father's opinion, not mine, that there was definitely foul play involved as far as the Chinese syndicate was concerned.
Because the facts in the Brandon Lee killing are so sketchy, it has led to speculation that he may also have been the victim of foul play. That theory seems to play out when you consider the chilling plot of his father's final film. In Game of Death, Bruce Lee plays an actor filming a scene in which he is shot at.
Gentlemen, these are blanks.
Unbeknownst to Bruce Lee's character, among the actors shooting at Lee is an assassin with a loaded gun. It's a chilling mirror image of what many say happened to Brandon. But many of the mourners at a memorial for Brandon Lee in Los Angeles yesterday seem to dismiss the murder plots.
Terrible, terrible accident happened on the set.
Others are still asking questions.
So something is terribly, terribly wrong here. And either, somebody's trying to murder him or there's some kind of gross negligence.
The question remains, where did the bullet come from that killed Brandon Lee? Some believe a piece of a prop bullet without gunpowder in it may have been left accidentally in the gun. When the blank was fired at Brandon, some feel it shot out the prop bullet, mortally wounding him.
The movie was an accident waiting to happen.
The Crow crew member we spoke with says that there were many opportunities for an accident to happen.
Are the working conditions on the set of The Crow particularly bad?
Extremely long hours, 18-hour days back to back at times, pushing 90 to 100 hours a week, 6-day weeks is was way too much.
Do you think that that overwork, that exhaustion might have resulted in this accident?
Safety precautions, all of them were definitely not followed. It could have been prevented with better management.
The publicist for the movie The Crow denies that the working conditions were unsafe.
Certainly everyone was very tired and exhausted from the shoot, but these are professionals, and they're used to working in conditions like this.
No matter what caused Brandon Lee's tragic death, it's another serious blow to the Lee family.
It was just over a month ago that 23-year-old actor River Phoenix stumbled out of this trendy Sunset nightclub known as the Viper Room and died of a massive drug overdose. Paramedics found him on the sidewalk.
He didn't have a heartbeat, didn't have a pulse.
Ever since his debut as a child star in the movie Stand By Me, River Phoenix has carved out a place for his talents, playing the young Indiana Jones, a troubled teen in My Own Private Idaho, and a computer whiz kid in Sneakers. Very few in Hollywood had risen this far, this fast.
Besides the clean-cut Hollywood image, River Phoenix had a different side, a side that was tormented by inner demons, which eventually drove him to self-destruct.
I knew a part of him that no one else really knew, and that was the part of him that used drugs.
Meet Rick Riojas, a musician and former heroin addict. Riojas claims he met River Phoenix in a studio jam session. Along with being an actor, Phoenix was also a guitarist for a band called Alika's Attic.
I think he used heroin when he played. I think he was more relaxed and more calm playing when he was high.
Although Riojas has no proof or witnesses, he claims River approached him to buy drugs.
He would ask you for drugs.
Yeah, he would ask me.
Heroin?
Yeah. I couldn't see why he didn't go anywhere else, but
so
he said
basically he would come over with money.
Yeah.
And he wanted you to supply him with drugs.
And that was basically it.
Riojas then went on to tell us that the first time he did heroin with River, the young actor just didn't seem to know what he was doing.
Well, he didn't know how to hit himself, so to speak, you know.
What do you mean by hit?
You know, inject himself with the needle and stuff.
You showed him how to inject the heroin into his arms?
And, yeah, he wanted to know.
So did he?
Yeah.
In front of you, shot up with heroin?
Yeah. Quite a few times, actually.
And according to Riojas, over a period of 3 years, Phoenix would become a steady customer. And one night, River traveled over 6,000 miles just to buy drugs.
He flew in. When he got to my house, I found out that it was from New York. He got it. It was just hi-bye, boom, boom. He left. Where are you going? I'm going back to New York. And he just took off.
He was so unhappy with his life that he continued with the drug abuse until it got so bad that he finally died.
We'll call him Tom, not his real name, but Tom claims to be a close friend of River and his family for a number of years. Tom says River had a squeaky clean image as a vegetarian and a shy private person.
Well, I suppose you can meet with someone and say, hey, you know, we think the same way, we like each other's work, let's do something. I guess, there's that kind of talk that goes on.
But he was a walking contradiction in terms of his own health.
How bad was his drug problem?
He looked very bad. He looked yellowed. His skin was jaundiced. His hair was hanging in his eyes. He was slurring his speech.
Tom says even River's parents could not stop his spiral into the world of drugs. In an open letter to the Los Angeles Times, River's mother, Hart Phoenix, wrote, River was not a regular drug user. He was never part of the club scene in L.A.
His parents had absolutely no influence on his life.
The only strong influence in River's life came from his former girlfriend, actress Martha Plimpton, claims Tom. The couple starred in Running on Empty, a film that garnered Phoenix an Oscar nomination at the age of 21.
They were very happy together. And I think it was the drugs that started to take effect that changed his personality, and that was one of the reasons that Martha pulled away.
And the lure of a bigger high seemed to call out to River when he asked Rick Riojas if he could get a mixture of heroin and cocaine, commonly referred to as a speedball.
I don't know. I was totally against that. I don't know if it sounds weird, like I have standards or something, but I do. I think it's a really bad high. It's a bad trip. I try to talk to him about it.
Riojas claims that was the last time he saw Phoenix alive. He himself checked into a drug rehab program and now claims to be clean. But River died 6 months later from a drug overdose of a speedball.
You were the guy that supplied him. You're partly to blame for what's happened to him. Don't you feel guilty at all?
Partly to blame for what happened to him. River ran his own life. He did his own thing, and if it wasn't going to be me, it was going to be someone else.
It was an emotional and private ceremony that touched those who watched the Kennedy motorcade silently pass.
He had a wonderful future. We'll all miss him.
We wanted to come down and just get some closure.
They're too young to have died. It's awful. It's a tragedy.
The Kennedy family, including John's sister Caroline, Uncle Ted Kennedy, cousins Maria Shriver and William Kennedy Smith, made the trip to sea aboard the USS Briscoe. It comes as no surprise that John Kennedy Jr. was laid to rest at sea. At times, it seems he was born on the water. Images like this are part of the country's collective memory. Carolyn Bassett's mother, Ann Freeman, joined the Kennedys at sea. Yesterday, her grief was palpable as she planned the memorial service at this Connecticut church for Lauren, who has a twin sister. A woman mentioned she'd just given birth to twins. Mrs. Freeman reportedly said, "I used to have twins." And now there's new information about Carolyn Bassett Kennedy's final day. Last Friday, she shopped at New York's Saks Fifth Avenue for a dress for Rory Kennedy's wedding. This is the $1,600 dress she reportedly picked. But on that day, witnesses said Carolyn also expressed concern about flying with John because he just had his cast removed. Meanwhile, preparations continue for Kennedy's memorial service in New York. Media are said to have offered as much as $10,000 for area apartments. But because the President and First Lady will attend, cameras are banned from the windows. And finally, this touching memory of John Kennedy Jr. The photographer who took this loving photo of John and Carolyn just 2 months ago received a personal note from Kennedy in response to the picture.
Thank you very much for sending the photograph of Carolyn and me. I would have been embarrassed to ask for it, but I'm most grateful that you sent it over. It's lovely, and we're glad to have it. Signed, John Kennedy.
Photographer Tyler Mallory believes the note displayed Kennedy's caring nature.
What a fine example of an insight to the real nature of this true gentleman.
Friday, around 8:15 p.m., Kennedy's love for flying took him here, Essex County Airport in Fairfield, New Jersey, where Kennedy kept his single-engine red and white Piper Saratoga. Today, a stunning report claims that Kennedy was concerned about making the flight at night and equally concerned about landing at Martha's Vineyard Airport. He reportedly said his wife, Caroline, was insisting they drop her sister Lauren off in Martha's Vineyard. The same report quotes Kennedy as saying that he was concerned about landing twice because he was not that experienced a pilot. Friday night at 8:38 p.m., Kennedy took off from runway 22. He reportedly intended to leave earlier, but Lauren Bassett was delayed at work. We made the same trip as Kennedy, as First Officer Mark Rado described the potential problems.
I'm having a very difficult time seeing where the land is and where the water is. This is true. This is what we would call featureless terrain. This is what he would be faced with coming into or out of the water like that. It's a pretty frightening prospect when you're not that experienced, I would think. Oh, yes.
On the night Kennedy disappeared, reports say a local fisherman saw a plane, possibly Kennedy's, flying around 40 feet off the water.
That was meaning he had no sense of horizon. He was looking into pitch black out here. Thought he was higher than he was and ended up trying to level off too low and maybe Didn't make it.
At 9:39 p.m., about 1 hour into the flight, and about 10 miles outside Martha's Vineyard, according to radar, Kennedy's Piper dropped from 2,500 feet to 1,800 feet in just seconds.
What possibly would have happened?
Pilot Steve Kahn showed what could have gone wrong inside Kennedy's cockpit.
He might have been looking, and as he's looking, he's turning the yoke. He's turning the yoke, he's in a turn, and he's just looking to see something on the ground, and what happens is he accidentally just might give it some forward pressure. Well, very quickly, the vertical speed indicator is going to start indicating a downward trend, and next thing you know, he could have been in a dive.
John F. Kennedy Jr. was due to arrive on runway 6 of Martha's Vineyard Airport at 10 p.m. The pieces of debris found floating at sea have led many to believe that this was a violent crash.
Hitting the water at that speed or hitting the ground is really the same. It's like going into cement.